Hello everyone, welcome to Expeditions of Khilkhil. I know that the real estate market in Canada is skyrocketing at the moment, and it can be really hard to find yourself an accommodation. There are 6 things that I will be talking about in today's video: the types of housing available in Canada, where to find an accommodation, setting your priorities and requirements, the types of leases available, very much requested and asked, the rent, and finally I'm gonna give you in a few bonus pointers. Ready? Let's get started. Talking about is the types of housing. The first kind of an accommodation that you will find in Canada is a condo. The second type of accommodation that you will find is a house. Another one is B&B, also known as bed and breakfast. You might also find a homestay, which is pretty popular with students here in Canada. And the last type of housing in my list is the residence that is provided by your college or university. Let's talk in a little depth about all of this. Well, I was in the residence of my college during my first year. It was a good experience. I was with students. It was pretty safe. There was security 24/7. We had a proper reception. One of the minus points that I found living on the res was there was no proper kitchen in your dorm. Homestays is a great option. I do have friends who came here and stayed at homestays. So the concept of homestays is pretty simple. You live in with a family. They do sometimes provide you food. They don't sometimes provide you food. Condos and apartments is also a pretty simple concept. Easy to live in. You know how it works. There's 24/7 security in most of the condos. And there's a sitting area, reception. And finally, the last option, which is chosen mostly by students and working professionals, is house. Now let's get to the next topic. Where can you actually find an accommodation for yourself? There are a trillion of places where you can find an accommodation. The first one is Kijiji.com, and you might have heard of it by a lot of people. Kijiji is pretty popular here. The second one is the official website of your college or university, and they're going to talk about the residence they have. Again, on the same website, you are going to find off-campus housing accommodations which are close to the college. One very famous site, that is placesforstudents.ca. That's a pretty cool website. You are going to find a lot of places near your college. It has collaborated with about 4 colleges. And finally, the place where I found myself, this house where I moved in, is Facebook Marketplace. You need to make sure, this is a disclaimer, you need to make sure that you are checking the landlord's profile on Facebook. You are making sure that it's actually legit and your money is not going to go in vain. And you also do not want to book the place without actually seeing it. Now let's move on to the next point, that is setting your requirements and priorities. Now the first one of which is proximity. So proximity to your workplace, proximity to your school or university or college, wherever you study. Second thing is your requirement, your priority, how many people you want to really share the place with. All right. So there are a lot of people I know of who share their rooms as well. So that kind of cuts the cost of the rent. Not all landlords are going to allow that, but and not everyone would be willing to do that, but in case you want to, there is an option of that sort as well. Now this is something, again, very personal. You can decide if you wish to live in the basement, on the ground floor, or on the higher floors. If you plan on to live in a basement, or if you eventually stumble across a basement on either of the websites when you're searching for an accommodation for yourself, make sure that you check for the windows, because basements sometimes can be really gloomy and depressing if you do not have windows, if you do not see the sky and the sun does not come into your room. My darling, you're gonna be here alone by yourself, so nature is the only thing that you have to you, right? So sometimes you are going to want to open the window, let some fresh air in, so you can actually breathe in, breathe out, let some light in, natural light, right? So make sure you've got windows if you plan to live in a basement. Finally, as I just mentioned, transit, make it a priority. You don't want to spend a lot of time traveling. Next one is the types of leases. Now this can be a little tricky again. There are landlords who are going to say that, okay, we're going to rent you out this place for 1 year, nothing less. You have to pay us first month's rent, last month's rent, security, and you have to stay with us for a year. You cannot back off. Now some landlords are flexible and they would give you the flexibility of say they'll say 6 months is the minimum time we expect you to stay with us. Pay us the first month's rent, pay us the last month's rent, give us a security, and then after 6 months, whenever, if you wish to move out, you can by giving us a notice of XYZ number of days. Now let's get the cat out of the bag. That is rent. How much can you expect to pay for a place here in Canada, specifically if you're in the Toronto, Ontario region, where I am right now? So for a decent place that's clean, neat, you have a room to yourself, and probably within 30 minutes of your college or university, the rent is going to be somewhere around $850 Canadian dollars to 1,500 Canadian dollars. 1,500 is on the higher side, 850 if you're lucky. I could not find a place for 850 myself, so if you're lucky, and 1,500 is pretty much on the higher side. You'll find a good place if you're looking for an accommodation. $1,500. Again, as I mentioned, some people share their rooms, so if you have that option and if you wish to do that, you can always do that. That would mean splitting the amount that you have to pay to the landlord finally. For example, if your room rent is $1,000 a month, then if you share it with someone, you'll eventually end up paying $500 each. Now it's time for the bonus points. That when you see a place, an accommodation on a website, the first thing that you want to do is contact the landlord, right? And try to do a voice call so that you can actually get to know them. Also, when you speak to someone, you really kind of get into the intuitive mode, and then you can understand how well the person is, and also if you're gonna be able to stay in their accommodation for a long while, because you'll have to deal with them every month. So the second step is you want to schedule a visit, and this visit should be scheduled the same day. That's how crazy the real estate market is in Canada at the moment. You find a place in the morning, you call them immediately, and you plan and schedule a visit. Book with them that I want to visit your place today. Take the time, go, and try to be the first one to visit their place. Now, when I say that, I really mean it, because you need to be sure that you're the first one out of all the people who've contacted that particular landlord to visit their place and book it for yourself if you like it. Now, the third step, once you get to the accommodation, you want to quickly check everything. Okay, when I say everything, I mean everything. Go into the room, see if it's how the pictures were, ask them what all is included. If they're giving a chair, if they're giving a bed, if they're not giving a bed, if it's furnished, unfurnished, if there's a closet, blah blah blah, XYZ things. You'd want to see that for yourself. Okay, next thing, you would want to see all the equipments in the house if they're in working condition. For example, the stove, the chimney, the bathroom geyser, hot water, cold water, the air conditioner, the heater, etc. Alright, the best way to do that is by talking to the other people who are staying in that accommodation. That would also help you to understand and really get into that thing, and you'd know what to expect from them in the coming few days. And also you'll start off with the right foot, because you'll understand what the other person you're sharing the place with expects the place to look like. But you've kind of got to check the eating preferences, because you are sharing the kitchen. If you're not, then you don't need to, but if you are, then you would want to make sure that you are with someone who understands your cooking style. And when I say that, I mean that you would not want to piss off the person who's living with you by your cooker sounds, right? And if someone who themselves prepare their food that way, it would not be a problem for them. So you kind of want to make sure that you're checking the people you are staying with. It's just going to be more comfortable. Finally, now this is really important. So many reasons. You need to stay the Wi-Fi. You need to ask your landlord if they're providing you Wi-Fi. Sometimes they ask you for extra money, $35 or whatever a month, and that's good. See if the Wi-Fi is good, high speed, because a lot of times you will have to do your assignments from home, and when you do that, you need Wi-Fi, baby. And you'd want to talk to your family back home, do a video call. You need Wi-Fi, baby. So make sure you go Wi-Fi. And the final thing is laundry. So you'd also want your unit, the house, wherever you're staying, to have a laundry room with a dryer and the washing machine both. Sometimes they are free to use, sometimes they are coin laundry, so you'll have to set that out for yourself. Okay, so these were my tips as to how you can find a place here for yourself in Canada without losing chill. And the pointers I've given you out, you could go back, listen to them whenever you want. If it were me who was listening to this video, I would have taken out a pen and paper and written down all the points, so that when I actually go down to a place and I see it, I can tick off everything. And that was pretty much all for today's video. I hope it was helpful, and if it was helpful, subscribe to my channel, like the video, and share it with your friends who are coming to Canada, because real estate is crazy right now. I'm not even kidding. I personally went crazy when I was looking for houses. I was like literally out the whole day. Doing what? Looking at different accommodations, and it made me so dizzy at one point of time, and I was like, I give up. Yes, that was me. I was like, I give up. I'm not gonna look for anything, because one, everything's so expensive. Two, it's not worth the money. That's what hurts. It's fine if something's expensive, but if it's not worth that money, you don't wanna get it, right? So if you see my pointers, it's gonna definitely help you, because that's what I did for myself, and it worked, and I hope it's gonna work for you too. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to write in the comment section. See you soon in the next coming up videos. Bye.